So there's a ton of information out, like you said, about just ways to follow good nutrition and live healthy and have healthy habits. So there's a ton of stuff out there that's really hard for people to decide what they want to follow and what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So we're just going to kind of go through some very popular nutrition myths today.
Okay.
There's tons of them, of course. I had to narrow it down to like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot out there.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah,
We'll
just continue on with this. Yeah.
Yeah, people want to add. They say, hey, what about this? I want to know. I've been told this. Is this true? You guys can definitely do that. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. I'm your host, Raymond Elliott, lead personal trainer at Go Time Training in Northeast Wichita, Kansas. I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years now, and I've seen it all. This podcast cuts through all the fads and gimmicks to give you the science-based truth on all things fitness and nutrition, so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. If you want to live happier and healthier and get the scoop on how to work out, eat right, and keep a positive mindset, you're in the right place. It's go time. Now, let's get to the show.
We're back, everybody. So we're here with my wonderful special guest, Jennifer Hamilton. I call her Jen. She probably hates that, but she has to deal with it every day almost of her life. So Jen is here. So Jen, you've been on here before. This is your second time. You're our nutrition coach here, but I'm going to let you say a little bit about yourself. You probably know that better than I do. So go ahead, wrap it out.
Yeah. So I'm a nutrition coach here, one of the 2 nutrition coaches here. And
at Go Time Training.
At Go Time Training, yes. Getting more into the role a little bit more. I've been here for a year and a half, probably. I started last April, so about a year and a half.
Goes by quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, time flies. I really love it here, and just working with clients and seeing them make progress and reach their goals is really awesome to see. So
Jen wears a lot of hats. So she's been amazing to see kind of from your beginning to what you are now in our conversations, and you're always inquisitive and you're always learning, and we appreciate you so much because you do a lot of little things and big things that really help us be successful and our clients. So thank you for being a part of it. So this is actually going to be one of my favorite podcasts. It's something I've kind of wanted to get into. We've talked a lot lately of functional movement screens, injuries, mindset. Those have been some really big topics, but these are kind of like debunking those myths out there, which I'm amazed. You know, we live in the world of information, but it's actually somewhat has been a negative thing because there's so much information out there, and there's still the same information. As we've learned with a lot of people in different aspects, people are really easily manipulated if they hear the same things over and over and over again. You know, we're followers. It's part of kind of what we do. We understand if someone's saying the same thing over and over again, then that's probably the safest and best path for us to take. And the sad part is there's a lot of misinformation out there that really people promote, and I get upset about it because it's really hindering people's ability to see change and do little simple things, and sometimes those are roadblocks that keep people away. So I know that you got some fun myths that you want to go over with everybody and kind of debunk those today.
Yeah.
So we're killing myths out there. So the comment section will be live. We want to hear all your guys' feedback and information. I'm sure there'll be some out there, but let's start off.
A little bit of controversy, just a little bit, but
maybe we didn't. I don't think we got too controversial on there, but
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I'm still amazed that some of these are out there. 20 years of me being in the business, and you know, we call some of the things bro science, and you know, a lot of these things came from kind of basic science, and that's one thing about science. It is changing, and we have to be open-minded, but a lot of these things have been misproven for 20 years now.
For a long time.
For a long time, and they're still very much people still really very much believe into them. So you go ahead and send it off here, and I'll hang out.
Awesome.
Cool.
So there's a ton of information out, like you said, about just ways to follow good nutrition and live healthy and have healthy habits. So there's a ton of stuff out there that's really hard for people to decide what they want to follow and what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So we're just going to kind of go through some very popular nutrition myths today.
Okay.
There's tons of them, of course. I had to narrow it down to like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot out there.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah,
we'll just continue
on with this. Yeah.
Yeah, people want to add. They say, hey, what about this? I want to know. I've been told this. Is this true? You guys can definitely do that. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So the first one is eating late at night can cause weight gain, or it leads to weight gain. which is not necessarily true. It really depends, of course, on what you're eating at night. If you are eating a really, really high fat, high carb, very unhealthy meal at night, that could cause the weight gain, especially if you're going over your calories for the day. That's going to hurt you in the end. But it's really just, what is most important is what you're eating and the quality of the foods you're eating at night. A lot of people have issues with late night snacking.
Right.
So like the chips, the junk food, things like that. So that can cause issues. But if you're eating a very healthy meal, it's fine to eat whatever time of the day you can fit it in. So if it's late at night, that's fine.
So if you automatically no carbs after 6, but have carbs after 6, you don't automatically put on fat?
No.
Right. So
Depends on the type, of course.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's still also what calories in, calories out. So even if you were to say have something that wasn't extremely healthy, if you still was kind of probably falling within those caloric goals of your metabolism, you'd probably still be all right. But it is better, obviously, to eat healthier foods versus a lot of the high sugar sweets. Eating ice cream in bed, falling asleep with that might not be a good idea.
Might not be the best.
Yeah.
And it really, it depends on the person, of course. And if you're eating a really heavy meal close to bedtime, it can cause some issues with sleep. So that's another factor too. So just make sure you keep that in mind.
Gestational issues, I imagine.
Yeah, if you have any issues with that,
peanut butter
cause you to stay awake. So.
Yeah. Well, high fatty food, sometimes like peanut butter if I eat it real late at night, which I love peanut butter. So here's a good debunk. Peanut butter is not really a very good diet food. We say it is, we utilize it a lot, but it's actually horrible diet food. It's not extremely high in proteins. Somewhere thought it was a high protein food. It's good. It's better than some of the other things that you could probably have that are higher sugar and those things. And it does provide flavor to a lot of stuff, but it's actually extremely high in calorie. That being said, I do like to add peanut butter to different things, and sometimes if I eat too much of it at night, since it's a higher fatty foods and you're going to sleep and everything slows down, and it's harder for your body to digest foods based on like the process it needs to do that can cause you to not get very good sleep and have some tummy aches and make my wife sleep on the couch because she doesn't want to be near me.
Cause issues like that.
Yeah, which is not good. So cool. But you can basically eat. You're trying to say that it is kind of depending on what you're eating at night, and then just because you eat carbs or eat something later at night, that doesn't negate thermodynamics or change anything on far as like weight gain, as long as you're trying to eat semi-healthy.
And just stay in your calorie goal. Yeah. It'd be an issue if you went over, of course. With that late night meal,
anyways. You could do that by noon.
Yeah.
And if you're continuously going over your calorie goals and you've already eat thousands of calories over or hundreds of calories over by noon and quit eating, you still could gain weight, right? Cool.
Yeah. So actually the second one, you talked a little bit about it. You kind of led us into the second one.
Of course I did. On purpose.
But myth number 2 is high fat foods are unhealthy. Okay. So, again, just watching the portions is going to be very beneficial for that. And, fat in general is very good for you.
Right.
It's normal for growth and development. It cushions our vital organs.
Yep.
It helps us absorb certain vitamins in our bodies.
ADEK, A-D-E-K.
Yeah, vitamins A, D, E, and K.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Look at us go.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's very beneficial for us to have fat in our diets. It just depends, of course, on what type. We really want to stay away from the trans fats or the artificial trans fats.
Right.
So that's like your processed foods, your baked goods, fried
butter
foods,
sometimes.
all of the tasty
chips
treats that we have. Yeah. So those are artificially made, and our bodies have issues breaking those down and causes lots of inflammation in our bodies. We want to stick more with unsaturated fats. So that's your salmon, olive oil, nuts,
ahi tuna,
yeah.
mackerel, good fish. That's why I try to
healthy.
eat fish every week. A lot of times when I go to Bella Luna, which is a local restaurant you guys probably know of, it's a wonderful place. My wife works there. A lot of people's always like, what do you eat there? And I almost always get the special because they always have a fish special. And so it's one of my ways to try to always get fish. And it's you staying with the more oily, higher fat fishes versus like your tilapias and some of your white fish, which are not bad, but sometimes when they're on there, I'll choose something else just because that's kind of one of my goals is to try to get some fish throughout my my diet every week just for those healthy fats.
Get those omega-3s in there.
Yeah,
for
omega
sure.
3. Yeah, good. Yeah, and those are essential fatty acids, meaning we have to get those through our diet. So we get a lot of those omega 9s and some of those saturated fats that we find in animal meats and butters, but we don't always get those healthier fats in there. Fat, I kind of feel, is like a weird myth, if you don't mind me in here, because
go for it.
I've been training for 20 years. I'm old, if you guys don't know. I'm the old trainer
you don't
here.
look old at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll give you more money. But I'm the, so fat was, really like you avoided it. It was kind of like the carbs back in the day when I first started.
Fat,
it was horrible. It caused heart disease. And then it completely switched when fat was like, that's all you ate. And if all you ate was fat, and we see that a lot with ketogenics and things like that, which they're finding people that are doing heavy amounts of fat. Even if they're in a caloric deficit diet, it's not as bad, but they're finding that if they're eating high fats, thinking that they're going to lose weight, and they're still on a caloric surplus, because fat is our highest macronutrient, 9
it's
calories.
very calorie dense.
Very calorie dense. So they're finding that that is causing people some issues with heart disease. So it depends on fat, and once again, it also still comes down to how much you have fats you're eating. But fats can be good. You can eat quite a bit amount, and even they've shown where somewhere even saturated fats, like your MCTs, like coconut oil, which became like, I don't know what year it was, 2007, when that was
coffee
like
thing.
Everybody, coffee, all those things. So it's not a negative thing. But once again, if you eat too much of it, it can be. And then also if you have a really high saturated fat diet, and there's really no reason to eat trans fats. Trans fats are basically unsaturated fats that they chemically make into saturated fats, because I don't know if you know this, but food products like for them to have a higher shelf life, and unsaturated fats just don't have a very high shelf life.
Yeah, exactly. And just keep in mind too that they're the starting point of our hormones. So if your fat content is too low, your hormones could be out of whack.
I've learned
as
that.
Well. Yeah.
In dieting myself, when I did a show, when you get very low body fat percentage, you pretty much drop completely off your testosterone. And for women, it can happen the same way. Amenorrhea, where they lose all their estrogen, and that can cause a lot of hormone issues.
Yeah, exactly.
So fats are good. We like hormones.
Yes,
they're good for us. They have a nice balanced hormone.
Yeah, that's the key thing, to have them balanced. So good. All right, the next one, myth number 3.
Number 3
is fruit is bad for you because it contains sugar.
I know, that's that one blew my mind. That's a new one too, which I never thought I'd live in a world. We're even seeing this like the carnivore diet, where they're now saying vegetables are high inflammation and those things. I never thought I'd live in a world where fruits and vegetables are negative, but
I know it's sad.
Well, they're saying they are anyways.
Yeah,
they're
saying
not,
that they're bad, but they're not. So fruit does contain natural sugars, more natural sugars, fructose. Yeah. And so really, in general, natural sugars are easier to process in our bodies. It causes less of an insulin spike too, versus like refined sugars that can really cause a really rise in insulin levels and that crash later on. And so it's awesome to have these natural sugars in our bodies. Because of the fiber content too, they take longer to digest. And so they stay in our bodies longer, but that keeps us more satiated and just fuller too.
Better energy levels, or more sustained. More
stable. And they contain all kinds of fiber, of course, vitamins, minerals,
micronutrients, probably the most
antioxidants.
Micronutrient dense, which are your vitamins and minerals, right? Things on the planet. So if you don't like cancer, which I don't think very many people do, cutting fruits out of your diet is probably not a good idea. I'm not saying that just because you don't eat fruits you're going to get cancer, or just because you do, but it's extremely antioxidant and high vitamin and mineral content, especially for the amount of calories that you get through that. You probably can't get anything more vitamin dense than fruits and vegetables. Yeah,
it's really hard to overdo it on fruit because they do keep you full. I mean, you can't. I mean, you don't want to eat too much because you're just going to feel full.
Right.
And of course, those antioxidants help keep our cells from the damage of free radicals and things like that. So they help protect our bodies.
Yeah, I try to, again, kind of like I was saying, I try to have fish 2 or 3 times a week if possible. I also try to have at least 2 servings fruits and vegetables a day. Normally try to do both, so sometimes I'll get a salad, and it's a struggle for me, but it's a way of wanting to try to make sure that I'm getting high volume and nutrients, but trying to get all those, because really as a society, we're very depleted in micronutrients. So most of us are not getting all our vitamins and minerals, and it's hard to do. The RDA suggested 3,500 calories calories of hitting like it used to be my pyramid, but now it's choose my plate. Thank you, Michelle Obama. Choose my plate for that of all those things. You'd have to get 35 calories of hitting all those. So when I was at Heritage College, we actually made people go do a grocery and like, hey, go hit all your micronutrients, and it was extremely difficult. Yeah. So vitamins are good, but if you're getting a pretty substantial amount of fruit and vegetables, that's definitely going to try to hit a lot of those gaps in there that you're probably missing through, your traditional process dieting and foods that we eat.
Yeah, and you can just eat the rainbow. We like to say that here. So eat all kinds of colors of fruits and vegetables, so you're getting different kinds of
fruits are okay.
Fruits are okay.
They're good for you, and just because they're sugar doesn't mean that that's automatically. And sugar is really not inherently bad as long as you're not overdoing it as well. But just because fruit has sugar in it doesn't mean that it's going to sabotage your process. In fact, it's beneficial.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Sweet. Cool.
Yeah. All right, the next one, myth number 4. Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to be quiet, but nutrition is
it's very fascinating.
So amazing, yeah. And it's very I find it very complex. So this is good that you're going over this.
Yeah, thank you. So number 4 is following a very low calorie nutrition plan is the best way to lose weight, which can really hurt us in the end. Yeah. So we have to kind of think about just our RMR, so our resting metabolic rate.
Good, I like these.
So that is the number of calories we need just for basic functions, just to survive. So breathing, things that your organs are doing, that's just the calories that you need to survive, to run on. So just to live.
Your basic calorie need.
Yeah, your basic calorie need. So let's say if that RMR for you is 1900 and you decide you want to eat 1400 calories just because you think you want to just lose weight really fast, that might work in the short term. So you might drop weight really, really fast with that, but it's not sustainable. Right. And eventually you want to go up to that 1900 right off the bat, and that's really going to hurt you and cause you to gain all that weight back.
Right.
And it hurts your metabolism too.
Yeah, metabolic adaptation.
Yeah. So it's not the best way to lose weight.
Right.
Losing weight is a process. It takes time. And, that's great if you want to lose it super fast, but it's going to hurt a lot of things in your body at the same time. So.
Yeah, and people lose, a lot of lean body mass. So that's one way that your body, obviously does it. Your body, people might not know this, but it actually wants to live.
Yeah.
So it has lots of strategies, and constantly it's working. It's one of our biggest stresses is our body is constantly like worried about like, hey, Ray, how are we going to live today? Here's all these different things that I'm trying to do. So when you decrease calorie, even if you're in a caloric deficit, even a light caloric deficit, you're technically starving yourself to some degree, which is very difficult for our brain team and concept anyways. Like, why would you give us less calories? And so when you go to extremes like that, it starts to do things like downgrade your thyroid, lose lean body mass. It starts to figure out, I always kind of think of it like a plane going down because it's like too heavy. Yeah. And it's like, what do we do? And you start throwing out everything. Well, that's your body's like, hey, if you're only going to give us this many calories, I kind of want to live and I don't want to starve, so I have to figure out. And the more I think intense that you're doing that, the more that your body has to make those changes. So you probably see something in the beginning, but then you just basically kill your metabolism. We see that with a lot of people, and it's sad. We almost need to help build people's metabolism up, but they still have weight loss goals, and their metabolism is adapted very low because they've went so low calorie for so long.
And your energy goes with it for sure. If you're way too low, then you're not going to feel energized at all.
So your resting metabolic rate, your RMR goes down, but also your energy expenditure goes down because you have no fuel.
You have no energy.
You have no energy. Yeah. So fidgeting goes down, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your workouts go down. Yes, you're neat. Yeah.
Yeah. So just being very careful with, those kind of like crash diet type things, and making sure that you're at the right level for your energy needs and just your body in general. So we don't want to go too low.
HCG diet, people would do that a lot. And I still think it's probably somewhere out there, and they would suggest 500 calories, and they would suggest you not to work out because you're going so low calorie that they don't want you to have any activity. And I was just like, what a horrible, you exercise a lot more for just weight than just weight loss. We know that it helps in bone mineral density, lean body mass, fighting against diabetes. There's movement. There's so much reasons to exercise besides just cosmetic. So any diet that suggests not to exercise is probably not a good diet. And people
Yeah.
and they're like, I lost all this weight. I'm like, you're on 500 calories.
Of course you're going to lose weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, HGH or
It's just
HCG is supposed to maintain lean body mass and all that stuff. And I was just like, if it's not, you want something that's going to be somewhere where you're going to end up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody that diet has to go below what they're probably going to end up taking. Mm-hmm. But if it's dramatically like that, it's going to be hard to really learn. You want to keep things simple. I don't know why people always want to complex diet so much. It sucks anyways. Like eating less calories than what you burn sucks no matter how you do it, but why make it tougher with all these restrictions and going extremely low?
Yeah, exactly.
I like food. So,
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I love it.
In my 40s, my new like basically idea is what can I get away with? Mm-hmm. I'm basically working out at the minimum amount and eating as much as possible to stay somewhat in shape. And I probably want to do more motivation than that, but it's sustainable.
Whatever works for you.
Thing.
Yeah, and usually
I don't know if it's working. But
exercise and nutrition go hand in hand. So it's a little bit easier to do both of them together. There's just more of a drive and more of a motivation for you just to do them together.
And you maintain lean body mass and you burn a little bit more calories, which, that's always a good thing because you can either eat more or you can eat the same and see better results. So either way that you want to go with it.
Yeah.
Any other myths over there?
There's one more.
Woo!
Are we
you
doing
got a
good on
back
time
sheet.
here?
Well, if I would be quiet and let you talk, I think we'd be good.
No, we're good.
I'll sit back over here. I'll lean back.
Lean back.
Relax. I need it.
So the fifth myth that I have written down today is carbohydrates make you fat. So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier too with the keto diet as well. Nothing wrong with that. It's just it's hard to sustain and stick with that your entire life. But there's a lot of bad rap with carbohydrates, and they are our body's natural source of fuel. So our body naturally goes first to that for energy. And so if you don't have enough carbs in your diet, you're going to find that your energy levels are coming from somewhere else. So maybe your body will pull or break down your muscles for energy because you don't have a carb source available there. So carbohydrates are really important, and it does depend, of course, on the types again. So kind of like the fats. If we eat more of like refined carbs, those are like more the processed carbs, I guess, back to your like
less fiber,
the fried foods and things that are processed more. That could cause weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, things like that. We really want to stick with more of the like whole grains, beans, both fruits and vegetables are carbs.
Right.
So stick more with those just because they're healthier for you and won't cause your body to store more fat that way. So there are really two types of carbs, so complex and simple. We've kind of gone over that before, but the complex carbs are your whole grains, your rice, beans, fruits, vegetables, things like that. Stick more with those. They do break down, like they take longer to break down in our bodies. So those are healthier for you, and our bodies will process those better.
Right.
So and stay away from simple carbohydrates, more of the like white rice, candy, things like that, just because of those insulin levels spiking again and crashing later on. So carbohydrates are good for you. Yeah. And they don't necessarily make you fat.
I love carbs.
Yeah. And again, in moderation and watching your portions, of course, will be very helpful.
Yeah. I think sustainability is big. And so sometimes, carbs, if those things help you stay on a diet and you like them, like I said, nothing against keto, but
nothing against that.
From everything I read, which I'm always up to new science, and I know that somebody will probably put some different links in here. There's really, once they've actually looked at a moderate carbohydrate diet, there's even some science that says a higher carbohydrate diet ends up having more benefit than keto. But those all those things would be, but for what they've shown, they really haven't shown much difference in weight loss comparable to the two when protein it was considered. In the beginning, they saw a lot of difference, but they were like, we didn't calculate protein. So protein is kind of one of those big factors just because there's a thermic effect of food and satiation, which with keto, they do find that people do sometimes have a higher satiation. They sometimes have a higher energy level, which helps them break down more. So those things can definitely go into benefit. They're eating more protein a lot of time, which can be a benefit. But when they normally look at the variables the same, they haven't really shown that much difference between a moderate carbohydrate diet and a ketogenic diet long term. beginning, there's water weight and some different things like that. But when he looked at it long term, in fact, like I said, sometimes they've seen where the moderate carbohydrate diet over time has actually produced more weight loss. And they've even shown some science, not saying not to eat healthy, but with the Twinkie diet, K-State professor, where he pretty much lived on a Twinkie diet, but he stayed within a caloric goal, ended up losing like 28 pounds, and then even AC1 and a lot of his health factors actually improved, which was
interesting,
kind of astonishing to him. Yeah, you should check it out from Go K-State, EMA or whatever they say. I don't know what they say here, but something like that. Yeah, so not saying eat Twinkies, but it was kind of a showing that if you moderate and watch what your intake, that even if you have some of those things, that you can also still lose weight on it. So it was pretty interesting and improve health. Now, he didn't do that for 10 years. That might have been a totally different study. It was like 6 months, but yeah, pretty interesting findings. So carbs are not bad.
They're not bad. And if you don't have them, if you try to eliminate from your diet, it's going to be hard to just stick with that.
We talked about the same unnecessary restriction.
Yeah.
So if there's no true data that's really shown that they hinder you from losing weight, if you're within a caloric goal and moderating eating healthy carbohydrates mainly, then why do something that hinders you, unless it's just easier for you to do it that way? That's the main thing. If something's easier for you to sustain, then do that.
Yeah.
And the three things that always is it in a caloric deficit, because we know that thermodynamics, until something proves us otherwise, is one of the most things. Is it healthy? And can you sustain it? If you can answer all three of those, then I don't really care what you do.
Exactly.
If you can't, then that might be a problem.
It's just, going overboard on carbohydrates. That's when it's
easy
an
to
issue.
do. They're low satiating.
Yeah.
Especially high sugars. They taste good.
They taste awesome, yeah.
So a lot of people say avoid sugars. They're not really talking about sugars. They're normally talking about sugar, salt, and fat. Because when you think about, like, I know you eat sugar. Like, you eat sugar, or you're not eating cookies and cupcakes and candies and things that are high with other variables in it. And those things can have addicting, like, factors and easy to overindulge.
Yeah, so exactly.
Avoiding those might be a good idea.
Yeah, in moderation.
And eating your complex carbohydrates is a better idea.
Yeah, those are more filling and cause less of an insulin spike, so you don't get that energy crash later in the day.
And they normally have better nutrients, like we talked about, micronutrients as well. Sweet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So carbs are okay. So let's recap. Let's see. We go back through it. So eating at night is okay.
Yes.
But mainly healthy, and those eating unhealthy at night can cause some problems, more than just weight gain, but other issues as well. But eating after 6 won't kill you. And even eating carbs after 6, it would be fine.
Yeah.
What was number 2?
Number 2 is high fat foods are unhealthy.
High fat foods are unhealthy. So they're not unhealthy. Fats or are they unhealthy?
Fats are very important.
Fats are very important.
Yes,
we talked about all the different things. Hormone precursors,
growth and development.
Cells, all good things. Number 3
was fruit is bad for you because it contains sugar.
But it's not.
But it's not
Fruit
bad. Is awesome.
Fruit is awesome. Eat fruit. Go eat some fruit right now. I love strawberries. Actually, grapes are good too. There is higher, so you can look at some fruit options, because there is tropical fruits sometimes are higher sugar, less fiber. So those are high fiber fruits are going to be your best, like blueberries, strawberries, other things.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4 is following a very low calorie nutrition plan.
Don't do that.
Is the best for weight loss.
Not a good idea. Lots of problems with that, and sustainability is
very
impossible.
hard to maintain that. Yep.
Yeah, and there's also, those go into somewhat psychological and eating disorders, which mindset, I think I was just talking to a nutrition person today, and she was talking about, like, she over Labor Day got off track, but realized it's not a big deal and just got back on track, didn't punish herself. Yeah. So, like, mindset is
huge.
Probably, and we just really been focusing on over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Before then, it was just like, eat 100% clean. Don't eat any of these things. You're bad. And if you did anything, you need to work out a lot harder, and you failed. And now we're looking at it on a totally different aspect, because it didn't work.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked.
And I will say something on that too. I got to a point where I was eating extremely low calories for the amount of running I was doing, the amount of exercise I was doing. At that point, I lost weight, but I lost muscle as well. Yep. I was moody all the time, cranky. Yeah. I was hangry all the time. I was always hungry, but I wanted to get to a certain number on the scale. And so I just restricted my calories so much, but that for me was not sustainable, and I couldn't do that my whole life.
Yeah, I was same exact way. I mean, 20 years of dieting, I've been through it all and followed all the fads, and that's why I know what works and what hasn't worked. And that's the biggest thing, is finding those things out. But learning, educating yourself, and not getting caught up in these myths that a lot of times hinder you more than help you. And that's the sad part. People miss what I always like to say, they miss the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at all these little variables that really don't have that much of a bearing. In fact, they can be what's keeping you from your goals.
From your goals, exactly.
Cool. So the last one was just basic carbs are okay.
Yes, carbs are great.
Carbs are cool.
They do not make you fat unless you go in excess. We have to. That's with everything.
Which that could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Those are great. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Are you okay? For you guys out there, Jen gets nervous doing these, so make sure to give her some love.
I'm not usually on camera.
We don't want a thumbs up. We want some hearts out there.
Yeah,
some love for Jen. She's did a great job. She's amazing here. We appreciate her. We're glad she's on board. If you need help, have questions, put it in the comments. I'm sure Jennifer would love to answer some of those things when she has time.
Yeah.
And we hope that they helped out. And if you guys have more myths or things that you want us to debunk or discuss or talk about, put it in the comments. Ask us. We're here. We need content. We like it.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. And we hope the sun comes out. It's kind of cloudy today.
Yeah, we got our jackets on today. It's a little chilly.
September. All right. Healthy Living Wichita. Take care, you guys. Eat. Have fun. Andrea's ready to shut us up. So here we go. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. If you enjoyed today's show and want to get started with your own fitness journey, I'd love to help kickstart your goals. How do 4 60-minute personal training sessions for $99 with me sound? Head over to www.gotimetraining.com/podcast to claim yours. I can't wait to meet you.